Awaken to your highest potential by understanding quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is the study of particles at the subatomic and atomic levels. As an example, let's first take a look at a hydrogen atom. A hydrogen atom is going to have one proton in the nucleus and then one electron orbiting outside the shell of the nucleus. And that electron is going to be in a wave state in all possible states simultaneously in all places at the same time. And it's only when you actually measure where the electron is does it actually collapse into a state. And that's where the location will be defined for the electron at the moment. One thing that you can do in a quantum state is entangle two particles. And one way to do that is to take a laser beam and pass it through a beta barium borate crystal. And that'll take a photon and it'll split it uh, in two different ways. One will do it through a red polarization and one through a yellow polarization. And if you change the state of one of the photons, it'll instantaneously change the state of another one, no matter where the location is. It could even be like way across the universe and it would still work. Einstein actually called this spooky action at a distance because he couldn't understand how it would just change states like that without having to like travel through like the speed of light or anything like that. What also is pretty cool too is when there's the photons are entangled in this way, uh, it'll actually produce the symbol of the yin yang sign, which is the symbol of the Tao, which is the balance between light and dark. At the atomic and subatomic levels, most of the space between the particles is actually empty. The reason why when you touch a surface that your fingers don't go through like a table or something like that is because the electromagnetic force of the electrons from the table and your fingers are repelling each other. So mostly everything's just empty space, and all that everything is inside of the different particles, that's just stuff vibrating. So the human body also vibrates through the different seven chakras that are up and down the spine of your body. The main one being your heart chakra, which is going to be in control of your emotions. So we're going to talk about emotions next and the frequencies associated with that. The diagram to the side shows how different emotions vibrate at different frequencies. What you'll notice is the more negative, harmful ones have a lower frequency vibrational rate. And as you get up higher in the spectrum towards the top of it, that's where you have enlightenment and all the positive emotions. So, however, your heart chakra is resonating along with some of the other ones too, that's going to depend on what you're going to attract in the universe through the quantum state. To the side's another diagram that shows the different emotions ascending to a positive state and descending to a negative state. For the negative emotions, whenever somebody projects something like hate or anger onto you, people often want to vent. And what ends up happening is you pass that same emotion onto other people, and it just keeps spiraling around and it just spreads more hate. With the positive emotions, though, you can spread love infinitely. So by doing that, that's how you can kind of create a better environment for everybody. On Earth, everything exists in a state of duality or a binary state where there's usually a positive side and a negative side to something, or there's like a left or right or up or down. It's like never ending because everything's based on duality. So in this picture here, I have a snake eating its own tail because when you think of the duality state as the two sides versus each other, you don't get anywhere because you're just in a constant loop of the two different forces battling each other. With the duality state, classic computers exist in binary states where a bit can either be on or off, represented by a zero or a one. So you just get the two different sides. With qubits, with quantum mechanics, you can take a particle and put it in what's called superposition, and the particle can exist in any state between zero and one all at the same time. So it's where you kind of find a balance, kind of between the states, You can still have the zero or the one, but you actually have that option too. You can have something in the middle where it's equal. There is a 13th forgotten zodiac sign called Ophiuchus, and Ophiuchus exists between Scorpio and Sagittarius. If you think you're a Sagittarius, you're more than likely actually Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus has the snake you'll see separate across both of his arms, and that represents the break in duality. And another symbol too that Ophiuchus has is the sign for medicine, which are the snakes going up the cane with the wings up on top too. So Ophiuchus is actually the healer, and the 13 number it's been demonized because they don't want you to know why it's special. Another place where you'll find number 13 is if you're a Christian is through Jesus. Jesus had 12 disciples and he was the 13th. And he was known as the healer and embodied like the completeness and the oneness of everybody. What Jesus represented was something known as Christ consciousness, where you embody God within you. It's not where you're separate from source. You have the spark of the divine residing within you, and you view everybody and everything as equal. But religion has demonized and distorted what his true teachings were to try to control people. Someone who understood frequency and vibration pretty well was Nikola Tesla. A couple of his famous quotes are if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Also, if you only knew the magnificence of the three, six, and nine, then you would have a key to the universe. So, what he meant by that, if you look at the diagram over on the right hand side, you'll see how there's a number one at the top. And then if you double one, that becomes two. So picture this like a cell dividing. One cell will become two, and then two will become four. Four then becomes eight. Eight then becomes 16. So you take the six and the one and you add them together. This is called vortex match. That's how you get seven. And then 16 doubles 32. So 3 plus 2 is going to equal 5. And then from there, you have 64, which is 10. And then that'll reduce down to 1. So you get back up to the 1 at the top again. So this is how everything exists in nature, where these numbers keep cycling. And you'll see also at the animated diagram on the left-hand side how it's a wave where it's the two different sides connecting. And then in the middle, you'll see the 3, the 6, and then the 9. So those exist between the two where they collide. 3 represents the Trinity, which is the God state, which is that third state I've been talking about, which is if you step outside of duality and you think of balance, that's Trinity or the God all equal state. So with those numbers, you'll see the number 9 up at the very top. And 9 is the number of completion. And through that, they're all multiples of 3. And with that also, you'll also notice the triangle. And you'll see the triangle symbol in a lot of different things, such as the Illuminati. You'll see it also on dollar bills and stuff with the pyramid at the top. And this is where all that symbolism comes from. All right, here to the left, we have the whole entire control grid of the Matrix. You'll notice that up at the top, you have Satan and then the other demonic beings, along with the Illuminati. Remember that triangle that I showed you? Below that, we have the people that are trying to control everything, the whole elites, the ones that are getting away with all this because with the universe, there's something called cosmic law where everyone has the right to free will, and that isn't supposed to be interrupted. So the way they get away with this is they purposely put all the symbolism and shit in your face, so you basically agree to it and say like, "Oh yeah, I'm okay with that." So that's how they get past the whole free will aspect of it. You'll notice government down the next tier in the bottom. That's Republican, Democrat. Nothing gets done. That's done on purpose. It's two different sides just blaming the other side for the problem, so nothing gets done. And if you look at the street grid design in DC, you'll notice an upside down star, a pentagram, and the way that they point, it points to the White House and also one of the Freemason lodges, I believe, is actually where the center of it goes up to the top, saying like, "Oh, they're the ones that are really in control." So with sacred geometry, with the street grid being laid out that way, there's not really a way the government can exist with that street design without it being corrupt, because you're going to get all that energy through those lines into the different places of the buildings. Let's also take a look at central banks. So central banks, the Federal Reserve is not part of the Fed. They're not a federal institution. It's just like Federal Express, where it's just a business, and they loan money to our government at interest, so that us taxpayers have to pay it back, which is fucking bullshit. Like all that is it's just us giving our tax revenue to these assholes at the top that are just taking all the stuff and just enslaving all of us. Then you have corporations. Corporations exist for profit, and the elite ones tend to have shares, and they're the ones that are profiting on all the working class. So working class is doing the work, and they're getting the benefits. And while they're doing it, they're destroying the companies, because you have to sell a product at a higher price point and reduce quality, because greed always needs more money. So corporations end up failing always over time because of the greed that's inherently designed into that. Then we have religious institutions. So this is where you'll see different religions like pitting each other off against each other, when there's not supposed to be any separation from anybody, because we're all supposed to be equal, all divine, all created in the image of God. So all that spreading hate and saying like, oh, they're terrorists, and like, oh, all this bullshit, yeah, that stuff's perpetuated by, next year down, the news, to make people just repeat it and just like go ahead and go with this whole thing. And they're just so caught up in the illusion that they don't even realize that they've been fucking manipulated. Education too. Education doesn't teach you to critically think. It teaches you to memorize facts and saying, "Oh yeah, this is how it is," and don't question it. So, big pharma, with that, they're not curing anything. All they're doing is they're creating products that treat conditions, because curing something, you're not going to drive profits. What else do we got? Military military industrial complex. So Lockheed Martin, places like that, and they often have ties to the government. So they're trying to go to war on purpose, so those different institutions can make all this money off of war, which again comes to the taxpayers, which again goes up to the top people. So then you have tech giants. So that's social media and everything, and all the spying and shit, where stuff's being shown like, oh, you have to like live this materialistic life and you're gonna get so much value out of it. But ever notice how like if you really wanted a car or something like that, and then you get it and it's like cool for the first couple of days, and after that you're just like, oh yeah, whatever, it's just my car. uh, it's because material things don't really produce anything whole within your soul. The whole materialism thing is something you've just been conditioned into believe, and you can't take that shit when you die with you either. Like, so you die and that's it. So you work all your whole entire life for all this material things, and for what? You can't take it with you. And then at the bottom, we have divide and conquer. So that's the different religious institutions being pitted off against each other. You have different races that can be pitted off against each other, and politics too. The two different sides playing against each other. Consume. They want you to keep buying shit, keep making those corporations money, and all those material things that you're being shown through celebrities and all the stuff on social media. It's all fucking facade. Like none of that shit's important. And they purposely put people like that to make you think you want that kind of life. And why? Why? It's pointless. And then you have obey, fear, hate, and believe lies. So everything within the matrix, it's all built on nothing but negative emotions. And when you have a negative emotion, people want to pass that on. So the whole system keeps repeating in this loop where there's all this hatred and the world doesn't get better because people can't wake up to the fact that we are something better. So within this realm of duality, you have your light side and you have your dark side. So you can picture that like angel, devil, white, black, however you want to look at it. So we're going back to that whole idea of duality. But what you need to do to get enlightened is take all the good things like the love, compassion, forgiveness, unity, all those good qualities, keep all those in your light side. And then from your shadow side or your shadow self, um, what the experiences through your life, all the negative stuff that you've been through, you need to look at that like, what did this teach me? How can I learn something from this? And how can it empower me to make myself better? And when you look at it from that aspect and not the whole, oh, why me? Why did this happen to me? You gain something from it because you could learn, oh, I was being manipulated. So I know how to like look out for that now because of the way people talk or the way I was treated or what happened in a particular situation. So those lessons are how you can use what you learn from the darkness to protect yourself. And when you can balance the light with the dark, that's how you get to the Trinity state at the top because it's the balance between the two different sides. So use love, all that hate and stuff. Try to take all that stuff out of your life as much as you can. I know it's hard because you're going to have different emotions come up in your life, and you have to just say, "This is projected onto me. This isn't me. I'm one with the creator. We are all one being, coexisting simultaneously all at the same time." And when you look at people from your equal, and when you can see yourself in other people, because it's just you existing at a different time, at a different place, then you can connect to the God state. And when you're there, anything is possible because you connect to that higher frequency and you can create stuff that will blow your mind. With that too, you get uh, unlimited knowledge too because your frequencies tapped in to the whole God state, which is the whole universe. You become basically quantum entangled with everything. And so when you do that, when you keep your frequency high and you have everyone else around you in that same state, you have unity, prosperity, abundance, and love for everybody. So we need to step out of the matrix. We don't have to go to war and shut down like these whole institutions. All we really have to do is just create our own different like businesses and different ideas of community of how we can come together. Because we can let them play their game and they can go and fail at it. But if we create something together that'll empower everybody, that's how we're going to win. Um, Also, with the universe, karma's a real thing. So people that have used you in your life, they might have gotten short-term gains initially from the stuff they did to you, but eventually, what goes around comes around. So whatever somebody did to you negatively, that's going to get reflected back to them eventually, and it's probably going to happen when everything just collapses. That's probably going to happen pretty soon with different corporations, government, all that bullshit. And the best part is, if you take those negative experiences and you learned your lesson from it, that's going to empower you. That's going to make you grow. That's going to help you see the positive of it and be like, oh, that pain did have a purpose. It taught me something. And now, all that good stuff I did in the past, it's going to come back to me now. So, all that goodness is going to get reflected back to you too. So, hang in there, love each other, stop hating, and just learn to understand that people have different perspectives, but help show them love, compassion, and unity.